Okay, everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to learn something new, and I've really enjoyed part of this online learning new things every day. And so I hope that you will enjoy it as well. Today's lesson, whoops, here's my marker. Today's lesson, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to measure lengths using rulers marked with halves and fourths of an inch. Now we've already talked about fractions and putting fractions on a number line. And this is kind of like our number line, right? Here we start at 0. That's where we put the end of that up against things to measure, right there at the very end at 0. And then here would be 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, and 5 inch, right? But just like we learned with fractions, sometimes things don't go all the way to an inch. So we have to cut it up into parts. Can you see this taller tick right here? That would be half an inch. So right here is 0. Here's 1/2. 1. This right here would be 1 and 1/2. 2. Right here would be 2 and 1/2. 3. 3 and 1/2. 4. 4 and 1/2. 5. Right? So up here at the top, measure lengths using rulers marked with halves. Okay, there's our halves right here. And you can see here's a half, here's a half, here's a half, and here's a half. Now, let's do a different color so we can try something new. Let's try red. Here we go. All right, you can also see that they've cut each one of those halves in half again. And from our fractions, you know that those are 1/4. And you know that 1/4 and 1/4 equals 2/4. And 1/2, if we did our equivalence chain, equals 2/4, right? So you can see right there that this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. All right, here would be 1 and 1/4, 1 and 2/4, 1 and 3/4. But instead of calling it 1 and 2/4, we just say 1 and 1/2, right? Because half right here equals 2/4. So then again, here would be 2 and 1/4, 2 and 2/4, 2 and 3/4, 3, right? Okay, so now we've learned measure lengths using rulers marked with halves and fourths of an inch. That's a quick little lesson on teaching measurement. I know you're going to need to practice this. So we're going to practice it on the next couple pages before we show the data by making a line plot. First of all, we'll do the top one, measure lengths using rulers marked with halves and fourths of an inch. So let's do a little bit of practice with this. Okay, here we have shoes. In our table down here at the bottom, it says length of shoes in inches. And right here is my ruler with inches. Notice that they've lined it up against 0, right? You got to always start at 0. The starting line is 0, right? And then they've lined it up right there at 0. And it goes to right here. Okay, well, it's farther than 1, it's farther than 2, it's farther than 3, but it's not farther than 4. So we know that this shoe is 3 plus some more. Okay, let's see how much more. Let's change my color again because now we're going to do quarter inches. Here's 1/4, 2/4. Okay, or see, it's at the highest mark there. That could also be halves. So it's 3 2/4 or 3 1/2. Okay, shoe number 1. Length of shoes in inches is 3 1/2. Let's go to the next one. Summertime flip-flops. That makes me excited, right? Here I have the 3 1/2 from the shoe before. Down in this box, we are going to keep track of how long our shoes are so that we can make a line plot at the very end. So that's why I've put length of shoes in inches. Okay, look at this one. Is it lined up against 0? You bet. So we start at 0, and let's put where this goes to right here. Is it farther than 1? Yep. Farther than 2? Yep. Farther than 3? Yep. Clear to 4? Nope. So we're going to say this shoe is 3, and again, 1 2/4 or 1/2. That shoe is also 3 1/2 inches, and I don't have to write inches because it has it right there in my the name of my table that I'm sticking it in. So it's another shoe for 3 1/2 inches. Okay, let's try the next one. Oh, this one's tinier. Here I have shoe number 1 and shoe number 2. I'm going to post shoe number 3. Look right here. It is lined up against 0, exactly where I want it. And where does it line up with? Right there. Okay, is this shoe longer than 1 inch? Yep. Is it all the way to 2? Nope. So this shoe is 1 plus a little bit more. Let's see how much more. 1/4, 2/4, or like we said, 2/4 is 1/2. This shoe is 1 1/2 inches long. Okay, let's try shoe number 3. Okay, right here I have shoe number 1, shoe number 2, shoe number 3. Oh, I just said let's try 3. I meant 4. You knew that, right? Okay, line it up with the starting line at 0, right? Got it lined up. Okay, what about right here? Oh, okay. This shoe is longer than 1 inch, longer than 2 inches, longer, oh, nope, it's not longer than 3 inches. It is exactly 3 inches. All right, so we've got 4 shoes. One shoe was 3 1/2, another shoe was 3 1/2, another shoe was 1 1/2, and my last one is 3. Let's go on to the next one. We're trying to get a bunch to make a line plot. So here we have shoe number 5. Okay, let's line it up against 0. And we've got it lined up here. This shoe is 1, 2, not quite 3. Let's put it at 2 plus how much more? 1, 2/4, 2 2/4, or 2 1/2. This shoe is 2 1/2 inches long. Okay, so far we've got shoe 1, shoe 2, shoe 3, shoe 4, shoe 5. Let's see, I think I only got 6 shoes. Okay, last shoe. Here we have, line it up at the starting line at 0, right? And how far did it get at the end here? Okay, it is 1 inches, 2 inches, not clear to 3, so I'm going to put it at 2 plus how much more? 1, 2/4, same as 2 1/2. All right, so now we're going to go on to the next part of our assignment today, which was show the data by making a line plot. Okay, remember, I've shown you how to measure and read line plots. Today we are going to make a line plot, right? So, a line plot, here we have our ruler. A line plot looks like this. Let me see if I can. Whoops. Ta-da! I've made a line, right? Like we did with our line plots. Here's my horizontal line. And here's my information. This is 0 inches long. This is 1 inch long, 2 inch long, 3 inch long, 4 inch long, 5 inch long, right? Now we're going to take all of this information and put it on our line plot, right? Okay, first I'm going to look at, my first shoe, 3 1/2. I have to make, I'm going to put on a new color so we can see it. I'm going to make halves inside each one of these, right? Here I go like this. This would be 1/2. This would be 1 1/2. This would be 2 1/2. This would be 3 1/2. This would be 4 1/2. Okay, there's my line plot right there. My first shoe, 3 1/2. So I'm going to go over here to 3 1/2 and plot that shoe with an X. And then I'm going to cross it off because I've already done that. Next shoe I had was also 3 1/2. I'm going to put that shoe right there at 3 1/2. Next shoe was 1 1/2. Right here we go, 1 1/2. Next shoe was 3. I'm going to cross that off and put my plot right there at 3. My next shoe was 2 1/2. Cross that off. Here I have my next shoe at 2 1/2. And my last plot point is also 2 1/2. So I'm going to put it right there. Okay, remember I had 6 shoes. All right, let's look and see if I have all 6 of my shoes plotted on my line plot. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have all of my information there, and I can look at that and see, okay, most of my shoes were 2 1/2 and 3 1/2 inches long. See, those were tied. I had 2 of each of those. Did I have any shoes that were 1/2, 1, 2, or 4, or 4 1/2, or 5 inches long? Not this time I didn't. So that's why those categories have 0 X's in them. But I had 1 shoe that was 1 1/2 and 1 shoe that was 3. So I have X's in each one of those categories. And that's how I show the data by making a line plot. Okay? I'm going to have you guys practice measuring. I'm going to give you shoes just like on this assignment, and you are going to measure them and put the measurement into a quiz. Let me show you something here before I get off. Do you see right here where I've typed in 3 1/2? When I type that, I go like this. I type in 3, and then I type space bar, and then I type 1, and then I type the diagonal line 2, right? If I did not put that space bar there, it would look like 31/2, right? I didn't put 31/2. I did 3 space, right there's a space, 1/2. Okay, that's how you're going to have to do it when you put it into your quiz. Otherwise, it's going to look like 31/2. Okay, so I'm going to have you practice measuring today. And then if you would like, go get a ruler out of your drawer and go measure pencils, measure erasers, measure things around your house, and learn to read a ruler or a tape measure. That would be fun. All right, talk to you later. Bye.